Well, Razorback fans, John Calipari officially has 2 McDonald's All-Americans coming to his team next season. Why is that significant? We'll talk about on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Neighbors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app and head to FanDuel.com to get started. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Tuesday for all of you listeners out there across the nation, across the world, all of you in the East Coast, and of course, all of you out there in Southern California. I always appreciate it. But it's a great time to discuss a few things in the positive light, because we know Arkansas basketball is kind of reeling and not exactly high on everyone's mind, but we'll talk some college football too and some college baseball. Really mix everything in here on a Tuesday. But I wanted to start with something that's not surprising. Like when you hear the tease about Arkansas having 2 McDonald's All-Americans, this isn't ones that are just got newly added. It's just now it's been made official as part of the 2025 high school class that the 48th annual McDonald's All-Americans teams were officially named. Now, there's an East roster and a West roster, and Arkansas has 2 fully committed and signed players represented here in the McDonald's All-American game. We know that Darius Acuff Jr., 6'2", a guard, who's number 5 overall. Well, I guess it depends on which type of outlet that you're looking at, but I'm going to go with 5th. That sounds pretty good. Maybe he's number 1. It kind of depends on which direction you want to go. And Meleek Thomas, who's also a guard, 6'4", he's 10th overall. So there's a few other players of note that are mentioned there that are McDonald's All-Americans and everything, which, you know, people can have their own opinions on it, whether or not they're excited about it, what it means, is it, you know, whatever. Like, you're going to have your opinion on it, and that's fine. But here's the deal. If you have checked out any of the national reporting and scouting when it comes to college basketball, high school basketball especially, you'll know that both Acuff and Thomas are next level type of players. Now, that is nothing against the McDonald's All-Americans that Arkansas has on this year's current team. Nothing against them at all. But a lot of people felt like this past year's class was not really as highly regarded. I mean, if you listen to Curtis Wilkerson of Inside Arkansas, you'll know that. But this upcoming year is a really good one. And Arkansas got 2 of the best players out of it. Came close to getting a 3rd, but between that and, of course, the Sealy kid from Arkansas, you essentially have 3 true freshmen next year that are going to be coming in. So some of you, because of what you've heard about and seen, actually, when it comes to the high school players and ones from that highly regarded teams and whatnot, you're probably going to have almost a negative reaction, maybe a negative connotation, or maybe you just don't care because you're like, what does that matter? Hey, we had McDonald's All-Americans this year. What is it gives us? And I've even seen some of you, not all of you, but some of you refer back to when Muss had the 3 McDonald's All-Americans, still the greatest picture ever of him looking at those burgers. But a lot of you look back to that year and felt like, other than Anthony Black, the other 2 were just, kind of hit and miss. Jordan Walsh didn't really play much and didn't really come on until the end of the season. Nick Smith sparingly played. And so you just had almost like, a negative connotation towards it. Well, I'm going to be honest. I don't know what this full roster of guys are going to look like on next year's team for Arkansas. I know 3 of them that are going to be there. And even on the current roster, I don't know any of these guys that are for sure going to be back next season. A few of them will just go to the NBA. A few of them will transfer out. And a few of them are pretty much done with their eligibility. So we have no idea what's going to look like as far as the roster goes. But I have never been one to say no to really good talent. Sure, there comes with challenges. I am sure of it. I've never been a college basketball coach or football coach, but I'm sure there are a lot of challenges dealing with highly talented, highly coveted, highly regarded 18-year-old kids on a team that can be filled with other upperclassmen. Kids that are really talented. A lot of them have worked very hard, but other ones have been kind of gifted a lot. Teenagers talked about how awesome that they are constantly and how incredible that they are and how they're the best one on their team, and they always have been the best one on their middle school team, on their junior high team, their pickup team, no matter what it was, no matter what team they played on, as serious as it was, as competitive as it was, or as lackadaisical pickup basketball, whatever it is, they were always the best. And then these kids walk into college basketball for at least 1 year. And in that 1 year, they're going to be more than likely on teams where they're not the best player as soon as they walk in to the door. Now, some teams they will be. But places like Arkansas, places like Kansas, places like Duke, North Carolina, etc. In a lot of cases, those players are not going to be the best players that walk in and are the best day one. So it's hard to really know how they're going to handle that and what the type of challenges that could come along with it, whether it's their ego, whether it's their immaturity, whether it's their ability to play well with other highly regarded players. There's just a lot of factors that could play into it. But that doesn't need to be my job or your job to worry about how true freshmen are going to fit in with the culture of a team. If you give me the option of having a player that will for sure fit in with the culture of the team perfectly and not be as talented, or you give me the player that is the extreme, utmost, incredible case of the highest talented player, where there's a good chance that he fits into the culture, or at least could fit into the culture. Folks, I'm going to be honest. I'm going with talent. Talent can help you overcome a lot. We've seen that time and time again. There have been coaches in all sports, but especially a college basketball, a college football, whatever, where just because they have the elite level talent, they always look a lot better. You know? Sure, you're not going to have a team filled with NBA all-stars across the board. It's just not realistic. But I'm big on always having the best talent you possibly can. So when Cal decided to go this route and to bring these players in, and from my understanding and from what it sounds like, he's only doing this with 3 players. He was flirting around with a 4th player to bring him in as a freshman, but considering how talented some of them are, it makes sense. But I think that's the right way to do it. We've talked about the roster management for Calipari and how he failed at that. And I don't know if he'll ever say that he made the mistake, but I believe he did. I think you believe he did. And so it's been costly to Arkansas to have to deal with this. But I believe that he's going to learn his lesson, and you're going to see a different type of roster management next year. I still believe they're going to get some really highly regarded players out of the transfer portal. Are they going to be better than what Nelly Davis has given you? Is it going to be better than what Jonas Adu has given you and all of that? I certainly hope so. Certainly hope so. But it's a matter of getting guys that can overcome so much. If I was a coach that was not, we'll use John Calipari. Am I going to sit here with a straight face and say that John Calipari is one of the best X's and O's coaches when it comes to breaking down plays and everything in college basketball history? No, absolutely not. There are other coaches that are good at that, better than that, whatever. But what is it that Cal has always been able to do, and what his success has been built on? Well, it's been built on being able to bring great talent together and play well together and be able to overcome any of those weaknesses that the coaching staff may have or the team may have because of how talented that they are. Everyone wants to have a great X's and O's coach, folks. Everyone wants to have somebody that in the timeout, they draw up a play on the whiteboard and they execute it every single time. Sure. But have you maybe noticed that in so many cases, those types of coaches are never the ones that have the talent? Why is that? Sure, there may be some exceptions to the rule, but why is that? It's not just as easy as Oh, well, you can recruit and then you draw plays, or if you recruit and you know the type of offense that you're going to run and defense. It's not that easy. And I'm not saying make an excuse for it, because that is definitely a weakness that Arkansas has, especially their offense this year. It's pretty bad. All I'm saying is that if you give me the option to have high-level talent compared to the option of decent talent, give me the high-level talent every time. There's a reason why the teams that you see winning national championships year in and year out in college basketball are the teams that usually have the most talent. Yes, coaching is important. Yes, culture is important. All those things are important, folks. I'm not saying it's not. But there's a reason why those teams win the title. There's a reason why the teams in college football, the Ohio States, the Michigan, the Bamas, the Georgias, the LSUs, there's a reason why they're the ones winning national championships. Sure, coaching does matter. Of course it does. But the talent is what is always going to be the most valuable and most crucial part of any national championship success. Real quick, I always roll back to the example of Arkansas's 1994 national championship, right? And how that team, and how they're viewed. Like, did any of them have a lot of high-level NBA success? I mean, Corliss did. But a lot of those guys, a few of them were McDonald's All-Americans. You had 4 stars, 5 stars, highly coveted guys on that team. It wasn't just a bunch of jokers, just guys off the street. Now, were there some players that were undervalued and underappreciated that you found a diamond in the rough that fit? Perfect. Yeah. But do you really think that team does anything without Corliss Williamson? Do you think that team that made the Final Four run in the early 1990s went without Todd Day? Without Oliver Miller? Coaching's important. Talent is more important. And Arkansas is going to have some talent coming in next year. Will they do anything with it? It's the ultimate question, isn't it? Let's talk about college football and valuations, money, all that fun stuff that you love talking about. We'll get to it here next on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, so stay with us. All right, Razorback fans, I'm here to tell you about FanDuel. Super 59 is here. 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities. And there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with the FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's icing on the cake. So download the app and head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet $5, just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 59. All right, moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I want to talk about football, folks. Yes, that's right, football. Arkansas was able to add a defensive lineman, which is not really what the main topic I wanted to talk about in this one, so just bear with me because you're probably looking at wait, that's not what you talked about. But I did want to at least give up a little bit of a shout out to Ari Slocum, who is the 9th verbal commitment of the 2026 class for Arkansas. He's a defensive lineman from Farmerville, Louisiana, Union Parish. 6'3", 309 pounds. He chose Arkansas over Missouri and Purdue, as well as a few other places as well. So nice get for Arkansas. Again, anytime that you get defensive linemen, especially a guy like that size, and he looks the part, you're getting some boot boys, as they call them, then it's always big. So shout out to Deke Adams, shout out to Arkansas and Sam Pittman for getting that player. But that's really just a little bit of the part that I wanted to bring up when I'm talking football here. There was a really interesting study, and I love studies. I didn't love conducting studies. I didn't study much, but I do appreciate the final result. Like, I don't want the labor pains. I just want the baby. You know what I'm saying? Well, this one was done by the Wall Street Journal, and it was by a guy named Ryan Brewer, who's an associate professor of finance at Indiana University, Columbus. And he released an analysis on the most valuable college football programs following this past season in 2024. And I'm just going to give the breakdown of what he went through in deciding this. He says Brewer conducts his study by analyzing a program's finances and asking, what would it be worth if it could be bought and sold like a professional franchise? Which is pretty interesting. Brewer looks at top-line revenues, growth, and drivers of cash flow and makes projections about the sustainability of the operation, just as you would any other business. It isn't a mere 1 year snapshot either. He combined the data of years of 131 college football programs and the heavyweights all the way down to losing Monroe. Then, after breaking down everything from television viewership to trends in enrollment, his spreadsheet finally spits out the answer. So, pretty interesting study. It's not like the know-all, end-all, be-all, but it's still interesting to talk about value when it comes to college football. And this is just college football, folks. This isn't the athletic department in general. This is just college football. Number one at $1.9 billion is the Ohio State University. I mean, again, no surprise there. Texas, number 2, no surprise. Michigan, 3. Georgia, 4. But when you start getting the SEC schools itself, LSU's number 6 overall. Tennessee, 8 overall. 9, Texas A&M. 10, Oklahoma. 11, Alabama. 12, Auburn. 14, Florida. You see that and you're like, okay, makes sense. That's nothing surprising there. But number 19, Arkansas, valued at $616 million. Now, there is no surprise as far as those schools that are in the top 15. I mean, for crying out loud, I don't see any issues with saying that Texas, Georgia, LSU, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, Auburn, and Florida are ahead of Arkansas. I don't think there's any issues with that. But when you throw in Arkansas being there at 19th overall, 19th, ahead of South Carolina, Kentucky, Missouri, Vanderbilt, of course, but teams like that, it kind of gives you a little bit more perspective, more than Ole Miss, more than Mississippi State, just to throw a few out. It really hits home as far as the value of what Arkansas has, because it's all about money, right? I mean, that's what it is. It's all about money in college football, college sports in general. But when you have that valuation put out there, you can look at it a lot of different ways. Some of you may not even care. Some of you may be like, okay, good, big whoop, a study that got put out. What does that mean? We suck. We're not any good. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means to me. What it means to me is exactly what I have been saying about Arkansas in the college football program for years. Years. Is Arkansas one of the most valuable and successful, best set up to win, best job in all the SEC? No, it's not. I live in a reality. It's not that. Is it a top 5 job in the SEC? Nope. Is it a top 10 job, though? Maybe. But what it's not is it's not a bottom dweller. It's not a joke. It's not a program that just doesn't have it to win games, to win more games than they lose. It's not that. And if anything, it's just more frustrating, to be honest. Arkansas football is a place you can win. Can you win a national championship? Probably not. But you can win. You can be successful. You can have good teams. You can compete in this conference. And you can do it pretty consistently. Because you have a very passionate fan base. You have good facilities. You have the SEC and the money that comes in. You do have good NIL, reportedly. You have all these things. But most importantly, you have money. You have value. You have those means. And I'm sorry, I look at all those programs, folks, all of those programs I just listed. And yes, they're all in front of Arkansas. But every single one of those programs feel that they either can win a national championship or have won a national championship. Especially here recently, past 30 years or so. Texas has. Georgia has. LSU has. Tennessee has. Oklahoma has. Bama has. Auburn has. Florida has. I mean, A&M. I don't know if they ever will, but you see what I'm saying? You get my point. There's a lot of value in a place like the University of Arkansas and the football program that it is. It's not a joke. It's not poor little old Arkansas. It has value. And so I think it would be really, really nice if people started believing it, started acting like it, and started expecting it. instead of constantly just being downplayed. It would be nice. It would be nice. Do want to give a shout out to the Razorback baseball team. We'll do that on the other side of the break, so stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, all you Razorback fans out there, this is a message from our friends over at TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, right? That's what it's all about. Well, then the waiting and the wondering and the worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives you the taxes and their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find every deduction possible, file every form, every investment, everything that you need with 100% accuracy. All so you can get the most money back, guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now this is Taxes. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Shout out to the Razorback baseball team. You know, they surprisingly, I know this may be shocking to some, was ranked preseason number 4 in the country. Wait, did I get that wrong? That'd be really embarrassing if I just said that, because I have been reviewing this and looking at, number 4. Okay. I saw something else that said 5. I'm like, am I looking at the wrong thing? But here's the deal. There's so many different things, people, outlets that do rankings, and the only ranking that matters is the one that Arkansas is the highest in. But Baseball America gave Arkansas the number 4 ranking. I know that D1 Baseball, who many, including myself, consider to be the best or maybe the most reputable deal there, that is, of course, having Arkansas number 5. Seen someone have them at 13. It's kind of all over the place. And baseball season starts up Valentine's Day week. So against Washington State at home in a 4-game series. I'm sure it'll be really nice and warm for that. But either way, I looked at that and I kind of broke it down in looking at how Arkansas, fits into with the talent level and all that, because we were talking about a lot of talent. Arkansas is going to be a team that is going to be good. They're going to be really good this year. They're going to win more series than lose. They're going to have solid pitching. They're going to have some really great performances. They're going to have all SEC caliber, all American caliber players, all of those things. And it's awesome. And it's great. And it's also not surprising neither. But they got it going on, to no surprise to anybody. But one of the biggest things that I feel like this baseball season is going to be interesting in seeing is how you, the fans, handle success during the regular season. If this team sucks in the regular season, you're going to handle it like fans do. Be pissed off, yell at everyone, yell at me, say Dave's over the hill, blah, 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 blah. You're going to do that. So I know how that works. But if this team wins and wins consistently and wins enough to be an SEC regular season title contender, a national seed, you are not going to care. You say you do. And maybe you do to an extent, but you're not going to care. Because the only thing that matters, as we all know, is postseason play. And isn't it weird, but in the same way nice to say that? Almost, if we get a number 3 overall seed, good, yeah, well, okay, wake me up when this team goes through the regional first. That's how a lot of you are going to be. It's a great feeling, honestly, to have that expectation. And also, to be honest, I feel like it's kind of fair. Because that is the expectation you, as a Razorback fan, have for Razorback baseball. A College World Series title. It's hard to do. Extremely hard. Other SEC teams winning it doesn't make it easier, but it's still that way. I firmly believe that the more that Arkansas builds its consistency in the regular season, at some point in time, it's going to break through. And this year, I'm truly hoping that they're motivated to win a national title anyways. But I'm hoping that Dave Van Horn sees how many straight years somebody else in his conference has won a title. How much it irked him, of course, to see Mississippi State win it, Ole Miss, LSU, and now Tennessee. Tony V, baby. Tony Vitello, the protege of Dave Van Horn, wins a title before he does. That sucks. And I can't imagine how that feels for Dave. So I'm hoping that with the new changes that they've made, as Dave referred to, with the roster, with the way that they're approaching the game, more of the manufacturing runs, stolen bases, small ball, a little bit more like those things, I feel like that is going to be a benefit and a positive for Arkansas. But I can't wait to see what the killer mentality is going to be for Dave. Will he be the same guy in his press conferences, the same guy after games, after wins, and after losses? Is he going to be that same coach? Or is there going to be a different type of fire, a different type of motivation, a different type of Dave? Well, some of you may say, well, I hope not. I say I hope so. Because you know what a different type of Dave can be? A different type of Dave Van Horn can be a College World Series champion. Because that's the one thing that he's missing. He'll have the talent to do it this year. Health is always a big part of it, but he will have the talent. Maybe this is finally the one. But no one's going to believe it until it actually happens. It's just the way it is. But I'm excited for baseball season, excited to get it going, and excited to talk about it. That is for sure. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in to the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Neighbors Show for any questions, comments, concerns you may have, and we'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel, tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you then.